Tampa General Hospital and USF Health, Morsani College of Medicine are bringing the power of academic medicine to Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast. For nearly 2 decades, Tampa General has been ranked as one of the nation's best hospitals. And for over 50 years, Tampa General has been Florida's leading academic health system. Learn more about their growing network of physicians at tgh.org/the Palm Beaches. So welcome to the Palm Beach North podcast. I'm your host, Noel Martinez, and today we're going to jump into the world of specialty coffee with my dear friend, Amy Angelo. If you haven't met her or haven't had her coffee, you need to. She's the co-founder of Oceana Coffee and is a powerhouse here in the Palm Beach North community. Amy and her husband, Scott, started Oceana Coffee with a passion for high quality, sustainably sourced coffee, and since then have become a staple here in the local coffee scene. Her latest venture, Culinary Crossroads in Lake Park, is set to be a game changer, which we're going to talk a lot about. Amy, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about your roots, right? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing, and where you grew up.
Well, I did grow up right here in Palm Beach County. I did go to high school here locally. I was a little bit of a Navy brat, so I did move around every 3 years, but I finished high school here in Palm Beach County. My family's been from here. I've spent a lot of time traveling the world, living in other countries, but we always come back to Palm Beach County.
Tell me about your parents. Were they entrepreneurs like you?
No, my dad was a doctor. And my mom she also worked in the medical profession, but she has been a stay-at-home mom since, our kids were born. So.
All right. So you went to school here, then you ended up going to the University of Florida.
Yes.
How did that education really shape who you are today?
I went to Benjamin here in North Palm. So that was a very rigorous, education. I was only there for 3 years, but that was an amazing, strenuous mental activity there at Benjamin. So I do feel like, University of Florida is an amazing school, but I went there very prepared. I went there the skills that I honed at UF were more about networking and really understanding, how to get out in the world and meet people. So different.
So you're saying that high school at Benjamin, it was a lot harder than it was at the University of Florida.
It was. And I feel bad saying that. But honestly, now, kids, UF is so hard to get into now. And I say, you guys are making me look good because, I had a scholarship to UF and, I did get into UF. I know it's a lot harder these days. So yay, go Gators.
Go Gators. Well, hey, let's talk about Scott, right? So Scott, your husband.
Yes.
You not only, you're married to Scott, you have 2 awesome children, boy and a girl, but you work together. And not only you work together, you've created like 3 or 4 businesses together. So let's talk about Scott. Where'd you meet Scott? And how did you guys end up on this crazy journey?
Well, it's, this is a great story. And this is another Palm Beach County kind of legend, right? We actually met at Club Safari. And, we considered going to that last night when they closed their doors. So we were like, we should do this because the one and only time I had ever gone there and he had gone there, that's where we met. Very random. But he was working on private yachts. So he's got a background in marine engineering. So we met, and that's kind of, I was exposed to a world where I could travel, get paid to travel. So that is what we did. We worked on private yachts for about 7 years. So
cool. That's
and he is Australian. I did forget to mention that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been married?
We've been married almost 20 years, 18 years.
And 2 awesome kids. How old are your kids?
Kids are 16 and 14.
And what are they like? Are they like mom? Are they like dad? A little mix of both? I mean, what are they like?
They are definitely amazing young humans. They're into the business. They love to work. They love to get paid. It's one of those things where we've taught them this part of life pretty early, but they're so mature now. So it's pretty exciting.
Do they have aspirations to take over the family business at one point or what? What do you think?
I think our son does. They both are finding where they fit. And the unique thing about our business and us, I think they've watched us over the years. It's not just one thing. It's not just making coffee or just roasting coffee or just fixing coffee machines. There's marketing, there's HR. We have a huge team now. We've got multiple businesses. So I think for them, they see, there's opportunity wherever I want to make it.
Awesome. So you work like crazy. And I know that about you. You're never working. I mean, you're never not working. What do you like to do to just relax and unwind?
Let me think back to, no, just kidding. This last few months has been a little bit crazy, but I love to spend time with my family. I love to garden. I love to cook. I've recently learned to make sourdough bread pretty successfully. But things like that, just, I do love being at home. We love to travel though. We got back from Guatemala a couple weeks ago for a coffee competition.
I was going to say, were you guys like trying to find another farm to buy coffee from or what?
Well, we've been involved with something called Golden Bean, which is a competition that we won back in 2016. So there is a global component of that where it's North America, the Americas, Australia, and Asia. So if you've ever won anything in those competitions, you can come to the world competition and compete at that level. So we were able to go to Guatemala this time to compete, and we took the kids, and it was amazing.
I bet. Yeah. I love to spend quality time with the kids like that. That's my favorite memories. All right. So before launching Oceana Coffee, you did a lot of really cool different stuff.
Yes.
All right. So how did those experiences help shape who you are today as a leader?
Another great question. Good job, Noel. I would say, the experience of starting your own business, I would say it was not something that we had planned to do. It was one of those, it was an unplanned small business followed by more small businesses. And, I think once you start with one and you go through all the steps of opening a business and learning what this is about, I mean, for us, when we started in the coffee, it was purely selfish. It was just, we wanted great coffee. We were very spoiled. We'd been living in Australia, amazing coffee everywhere. And then when we moved back here, we were so sad and disappointed with the coffee that was available. So if we had never moved from Australia, I can say Scotty never would have tried roasting coffee. There was no reason. We just had 5 or 6 different roasters that we loved, and we would go visit them. But in this situation, he started roasting coffee, and then he realized, wow, this is better than that best coffee that I used to drink. So then it kind of started like wildfire with, here's someone taste it. Noel, you taste it.
Mm-hmm.
Fran at TBC, like he wanted some coffee in a beer. And that was just at a friend's backyard barbecue. We weren't even a business yet, that we were just back porch roasting. So
I want to continue to talk a little bit about the journey, right? So tell me about, you are going through a lot right now, trying to get this new concept opened up here, gosh, in a couple days, right?
Yes.
We're a couple days away from the grand opening. You have to have a lot of resilience and drive to get there. So how do you stay motivated and positive to be able to make this happen?
I think persistence is probably the biggest thing, right? There's so many times where you feel like you're just hitting your head against the wall, and you get to a point where you've invested so much of your own time and your own money. But it's not just about me and my time. It's also about my team. We have some people who have been with us for 12, 13 years. They're actually part owners of our company now too. Amy Duell has been with us since the beginning.
We love Amy.
Yeah, she's like family to us, but also she's a part owner in the business now. And I think, the ultimate goal is to have some more employee ownership and to transition into an employee-owned company. But it's not just, it's a little bit the thrill of building things and making things, creating stuff out of nothing. But to be able to build a business that employs other people and brings jobs to a community, brings life to a community, that is definitely what keeps me going.
So every entrepreneur has people that they look up to. Who have been some of your role models over the years?
Oh my gosh. That is a great question. I don't even know how to just choose one. I mean, I think that quality of persistence, I can pinpoint the person that I pulled that from.
Who was it?
Actually, Kathy Theophilus is somebody who is local here. So I can't even believe I'm going to mention her, but she has always been a huge mentor of mine, someone I could always call, to ask questions. But, I saw her as a real force to be reckoned with, a very passionate professional woman. She really helped build an amazing, neurosurgery practice with her husband. So they're here local, but just amazing woman, amazing mother. So someone like that definitely has shaped who I am.
So I want to get into Oceana Coffee here. But before we do that, I want to take a quick little break for our medical minute brought to you by Tampa General. So we'll be right back. We're talking with Dr. Luis Peña, a lung specialist from TGH's Pulmonary Care and Sleep Institute. Doc, I want to talk about COPD. I've heard the term, but I really don't know what it is. So tell me about it.
COPD is the chronic obstruction of a person's airways. Usually is caused by cigarette smoking, but there are other conditions that can cause it, like environmental exposure to contamination or chronic asthma, sometimes chronic infections or genetic disorders.
How do you know you have it?
People with COPD have a chronic cough, sputum production, or frequent bouts of bronchitis. So that's when you should go to your doctor and we can do pulmonary function testing. We can assess the exact lung function and determine if you truly have or don't have COPD.
Can it be treated?
It can be treated. We use nebulized drugs, inhaled drugs, and lately there are medications that can be injected, like the Dupilumab, which can be injected once a month. It can decrease the inflammation of people's airways.
All right, that was great, Doc. Thank you so much. And that was your Medical Minute brought to you by your friends at TGH. All right, we're back. So let's talk about Oceana Coffee. I love Oceana Coffee. I am so spoiled because that's all we serve at the chamber office. Have it at home. That's all I drink now, right? You guys have an awesome story. All right. So let's talk about it, where it came from and how it began.
So it definitely started out as that selfish passion. We were, Scotty was just horrified at the coffee that was available here. We didn't have any local roasters, no local coffee shops that were serving something that was fresh. So that kind of started us on that journey. And not only is he just competitive and driven, but he has some of the most amazing taste buds for someone who's an engineer. Like you wouldn't think that would be something he would be great at. And something that we find in the world of coffee, most of the roasters we meet are either scientists, mathematicians, engineers. They all have this science background, but also great taste buds. So yeah, the way that transitioned is really, we were exposed to some local public events with Fran at TBC. Yeah. So Field of Beers was actually one of the first events we ever did. And it was just because we had met at a friend's house and he said, hey, can you roast me some coffee? I want to try this thing in a beer. So we're like, yeah, this is great. This was back in 2009. I don't even think Grace was not even on the horizon yet. So a long time ago. So that first experience of taking our coffee and at an event, serving it to other people. My dad was there with us. It was Scotty and I, figuring out how to brew coffee on a baseball field for 300 people and give them samples. And it was cold, but we did it. And that experience of having people taste that coffee and just their minds were blown like, wow, this is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
I like to tell the story about you guys, how I know Scotty used to roast the coffee in a homemade, like a little popcorn machine.
Yep.
Right in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then we were part of a networking group together. This is like years ago. How long ago was that?
Yeah, this was 2009.
Oh my God, 2009. So 16 years ago. And part of our network group, everyone would buy coffee from you. So you'd like open up your trunk. It looked like you were dealing drugs, but really you were just giving everybody their coffee. So you should be so proud to go from that to where you're at today is super cool. Yeah. Really, 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 really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And that's, I also blame Dave Chirico a little bit for teaching me that, those ways of networking in the beginning and really helping to expose us to a big group. But yeah, I was meeting people at gas stations to drop off coffee. It definitely felt.
It was really, really funny. So quality is everything in coffee, right? I think you could tell when you drinking like old stale coffee, right? I've learned that because you've spoiled me over the years. So how do you ensure the quality and sustainability of your coffee beans?
So Scotty is the one who sources our coffee. He does work with brokers who only deal in specialty coffee. So we also are working with some individual farmers ourselves now on a direct basis, which that's exciting because we could never do that before. Scotty has always liked to try lots of different coffees and roast from different origins. So if you go direct to a farmer, a lot of times you're looking at buying a whole container. So if you do something like that, you're going to roast that coffee and that's it, because you can't bring in 10 containers until you have the volume. So we work with amazing brokers. We get samples ahead of time. So he's tasting these coffees to make sure it's something that he likes. The sustainability side of it, these are the brokers that we work with deal directly with these farmers. So the money is going back to them. Some of them are woman-owned farms, woman-owned co-ops. So that's pretty special. But they're all being handpicked, grown at high altitude. So that helps ensure the quality as well.
Talk to me about the technique, right? Because roasting coffee is art. It really is. Everybody does it a little bit different. So talk to me about your guys' technique.
So I would say, and this is I wish Scotty was here to answer that question because I'm not the roaster, but he roasts great coffee. So I think it starts with that. It has to be amazing in the cup. There's lots of coffees out there with different certifications. And if it doesn't taste good when you roast it and you bring it to the final cup, it doesn't matter if it's organic. It doesn't matter if it's, it's nice that they have some of those certifications, but that's not always the thing that makes a great cup of coffee. He is looking to roast for a style that is sweet and chocolatey and nutty. He's not looking to hide any imperfections with a really dark roast. A lot of times a dark roasted coffee, it's done purposefully so you don't taste the unripe coffees that are in that blend. You don't taste some of those negative things. So
the average person wouldn't know that at all.
No. So if you find somebody that you can get a really nice single origin coffee and they've roasted it well, you can get so many different flavors in there, lemon and apple, blueberry, lots of chocolates. So that's really what drives him, is more taste than anything else.
Does Oceana Coffee do like coffee tastings or classes to teach people to look for those flavors?
We do. So we've done something called Coffee University. It's four classes, basically. At the end, we give you a little diploma, but it's Coffee 101, and we take our team members through the same process when they join us. So it's a little bit about farm to cup, how to taste the coffee, how to make the coffee. I always say it's like a rabbit hole. Once you know a little bit, there's so much more to know, and you just keep digging for, there's a new brewing method. There's a new something, a new processing method. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, you've absolutely built something really, really special. What are the future plans for Oceana? We're going to talk about, Culinary Crossroads and the Lake Park massive building that you guys are building there. But what's the future look like for Oceana?
The future for Oceana is a lot more coffee being distributed around our state and across the country, for sure. I mean, we do work with a lot of big venues at the moment. We work with the Hard Rock Stadium. We work with the Palm Beach County Convention Center. There's a couple of licensed cafes up at the University of Florida. So we'd love to do more of that. I would love to support more small business owners that want to do coffee, have a location of their own to do coffee. So that would be that's definitely part of the big dream.
Well, we've been talking about this thing in Lake Park that you got going on right now, right? The grand opening, ribbon cutting, it takes place in 2 days from when we're recording this. Let's talk about Culinary Crossroads, excuse me. It is an exciting chapter in your story, right?
Yes.
And Scott, in your story. What inspired you to create this? First of all, what is this space? Let's talk about it.
So Culinary Crossroads is actually 3 separate businesses in this building. So this is kind of the intersection of the culinary arts. We've got food happening upstairs, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that is. But we have food upstairs and coffee roasting downstairs and beverages as well. So Culinary Crossroads, it's really something where all of these things intersect. They can work together. But in this case, this beautiful new building we're building has grown out of needs that we've had for quite some time.
So you've got the 3 businesses. Tell me about the 3 businesses. We know about Oceana Coffee, right? So you have a new roasting house and coffee shop downstairs.
Yes. And this will be our first drive-through location. So this is right in Lake Park. It's on 10th Street. Our first location with a drive-through, beautiful space. And for the first time, Scotty has a roaster that he can program the whole roaster, and he can tell it what roast profiles to do, what coffees are going in, and he can get support from other people on the team now to roast coffee exactly like he would. So this roaster, actually, it's a 60 kilo roaster. It comes from Italy. It's called an IMF, but it's going to 10 times the amount of coffee that we can roast now. So right now he's roasting 15 kilos at a time in our small 900 square foot roasting space in Tequesta, where you did our first ribbon cutting
years ago,
so many years ago. But that space is so small. He's roasting it. It's immediately going roast, package, out the door. We don't have any space to hold roasted coffee, which is great because it's always fresh. So that's something amazing about that Oceana Coffee new space.
So talk to me about Florida canning. What is Florida canning?
So Florida canning is also something that we needed, right? Before the pandemic, we had a co-packer that was canning our beverages for us. So this was happening in New Mexico. The pandemic happened. They actually went out of business. So we kind of have been left without someone to can our products. We've always wanted to do it. So here is our opportunity.
And then, so who are you going to be canning for? Is it just for you, or are people going to be able to bring product to you to can? Like, tell me about that.
People can bring their products to us to can.
So if I'm a home brewer and I brew this amazing batch of beer, can I bring it over to you and can you guys can it?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Iced coffee, juices.
Iced coffee, tea, juices.
Water.
Yes. Water.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Right here, locally in Lake Park. Is that happening here locally?
No.
There isn't anything like it.
There's nothing like this. There are some large beverage canning facilities in Tampa and Miami, but the minimums are huge. So this is kind of that barrier to entry for people like us. You know, this has always been our experience. You want to test something out. You know, you might want to try, you know, I don't want to make 500,000 cans of cold brew. I want to try out 3,000 cans of cold brew, or I want to do 3,000 cans of water for my Airbnb or whatever it might be, you know, so it gives people the ability to do custom things on a small run. And it's also like a test. You test out your product. So it was definitely a gap in the market for someone to test something out on a small scale with craft beverages. And that's kind of where that came from.
And then the third business that's going to be there is called the Culinary Studio. So, right. So tell me a little bit more about that and who's going to be using that.
So Culinary Studio is also something that was needed. Oceana Coffee could have used a facility like this 15 years ago. So every food entrepreneur, every person that has a cafe understands the process of either having a commissary to be able to make your own products, or using local vendors, or using something like a Cisco where you bring in pre-made products, Cheney Brothers, things like that. So with Culinary Studio, this is going to make a space available for food makers to actually come in and use a fully commercially licensed kitchen.
So if I'm a small caterer, right, I want to start this catering business. And I can't cook it out of my house, right? I've outgrown my business.
You shouldn't cook it out of your house.
You can't. You're not legally allowed to, but you know what I'm saying. So now they have a professional commercial kitchen where they could rent space, right?
Yes.
Rent equipment, everything from refrigeration to, I mean, you got it all, right?
We have it all. So the big barriers to entry are grease traps and hoods. Those are so expensive, and it's too expensive for someone starting out to say, I just want to test this, or I'm not really sure if this is where I want to go, but I want to try it out. No one walks into a space and says, I want to spend $150,000 or $200,000 to find out if this will work, right? People have done it for many, many years, but this kind of lessens that pain. You can actually come in for an annual membership and use our space. We have a grease trap. We have hoods in our 3 hotlines. So there's no need to sink all of that capital into a space that maybe you don't own, that maybe your concept, maybe it's not, maybe needs some tweaks, right? Maybe you got to figure it out. So it takes away that need for a huge capital investment up front. It also gets those small business owners to profitability a lot quicker.
There you go. And
then maybe 3 years down the line, you say, wow, this is really great. I've learned a lot. Now I want to go build my own space. It's worth the $300,000 to go put into another building. So it's definitely a unique situation, but it allows someone like us, Oceana Coffee, that we can start making our own products in-house now. So very fresh ingredients that we choose, and really helps us to keep going with our brand the way we want.
So let's talk about something a little different. Like, your impact goes way beyond your business. You've been engaged in the community for a really, really long time and have done a ton. Talk to me a little bit about your Cup of Kindness program and what it means and how you work with local charities.
So the Cup of Kindness is something that we started, I can't even remember, I think it was 2018. We've been doing this for a while. We saw a concept like this in Australia that we thought was very cool. It was a local burger place, and you would drop the lid to your beverage in the charity of your choice. So this is the concept that we saw somewhere else. It's like, wow, that was really cool. We want to implement that. So what we have found through doing Cup of Kindness here in Palm Beach County, not only are we exposing those charities to our customers, because when you walk into an Oceana Coffee, right there at the point of sale, there's 3 charities that maybe you've never heard of. So you get to learn about these 3 charities, and you choose by putting a coffee bean in the jar of your favorite one. At the end of the quarter, that charity is going to win a check for $500 from Oceana Coffee. So it gives them a little boost in whatever they might be doing. But one of the biggest things I've seen come out of this is actually the charities getting to meet each other and getting to support each other, because it might be something, it's a new nonprofit versus somebody who's been doing things for a long time. One of my favorite stories is Els for Autism. They were our first charity to win Cup of Kindness. And immediately after that, we hired one of the adults that had gone through the Els for Autism program. His name is Brian, and he's been with us ever since then. So that was 2018. He's been with us, 7 years.
So you talked a little bit about people coming together and people being able to work together and support each other. Something that you're really passionate about is small business and other small businesses. You're really good about supporting local small businesses. Talk to me about the Beaches Small Business Initiative. It's something that I know you're passionate about. And how does it support local entrepreneurs like you?
Well, that is something that has kind of come and gone. But the reason that started was really to highlight the specialness of small businesses and locally owned businesses, to really try to put the emphasis on that local business and the entrepreneur rather than the large chains, really kind of shifting the mindset of people in the community to shop local, think local. Especially for us being based in Tequesta, we've had a lot of things put in our way over the last few years, right? We had some changes to US 1. Then we have
the
a
bridge.
Oh my God.
We said it at the same time.
So the bridge, we've lived through these nightmares, but even before that, you want to train your local community to think about local first, not to just think about the other fast food drive-throughs that maybe it's quick and easy, when you could get out of your car and go see a local business and ensure that they stay in business. The bridge has been awful. I've seen lots of places go out, unfortunately, during that process. And I can say that even after one lane being open, we saw a 30% increase in sales immediately. So you think that those things are hurting you, but you can't really pinpoint it. You're like, I think it's because of this, but I'm not sure why. And then eventually the bridge is open again. And you're like, oh my gosh, it really was hurting us. But here we are. We're on the other side, almost on the other side.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there. So I want to talk about you as a leader, because I've always said that you are one badass chick, right? I said it, badass chick. Talk to me about your leadership style. Like, how would you describe your leadership style, and how do you keep your team motivated, right? Because there's a lot of bumps along the road.
I always strive to keep my close team close to me as well. I do look at our team like it is a family. I try to tackle things together when we can. But I think the biggest thing that keeps people staying with us, sticking with us, is I do share the vision for the future. And I do push for that vision for the future. And I think they can see that. But I also look for opportunities for growth for the people on our team. I am definitely not someone I try not to do the hiring, honestly, because I can see the good in everyone. And I try to let someone else do the hiring, because they're not just going to hire everyone because they can see a little bit of good. They want to make sure they fit our culture. So I think that part, what I just said, knowing your strengths, knowing the things that, aren't necessarily going to help you in business, and say, okay, I need to let someone else do that. But I don't know. I do celebrate those things that they're good at. I try to build the people up around me. I love getting someone who's never worked anywhere before, because we can teach them our way. We can teach them how to grow up in our company and have more opportunities with us.
So, it's an ongoing journey. As a leader, you continue to learn every single day, right? Both of us, you're learning every day. So how do you prioritize personal growth and development? Like, what do you do to learn?
Well, I've been learning a lot about project management over the last few months.
Oh, yes, you have.
Personal growth. I mean, I can honestly say so this project has been going on for 4 years. This has been something where most of the energy has been poured here for sure, especially in the last 6 months to get this across the finish line. And, I think you get comfortable in some routines and your schedules, and you think, this is the way I work. This is a time I work. This is what I do. And then you also have a moment where you go, wait a minute, I can work a lot harder than this. And I know that the job that needs to be done right now is going to take X number of hours a day. It's going to take all the attention. So I think learning that again, because that's the hustle that you have in the very beginning. And I think you do go through a stage where you're like, this is great. We have good lifestyle, great business. Everything's going along cruisy. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now it's time to hustle again.
Yeah. You've got to be uncomfortable to grow. Like
absolutely.
I forget who says it all the time that, in order for you to not succeed, but to be super successful is that you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yes.
And right now it's uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Right?
It's definitely uncomfortable right now. And we're getting little glimpses at the end too of why this is so worth it and why, owning our own building and really taking these hard steps. And I think that's part of it too. You go, this amount of effort is worth it because this is a huge opportunity. This is a huge step in the right direction. So buckle down. Let's just get through it. So, yeah.
So as a woman in business, have you faced any unique challenges? And tell me a little bit about how you work through them.
I think I have been very either naive or blessed. And maybe I don't look at the challenges and say, wow, this is a challenge or a block for me. I can't get around it. If I run into something like that, I call you. I have a list of, however many people that I know can help me get past whatever obstacle it is. So I don't feel like I've had unique challenges. I think I have the challenges that I choose. And, there's a lot of times where you get to a certain point and you go, okay, I should stop now, or I can't get past this, or this is too hard. And I think something in my brain goes, oh, there's got to be a way around this. There's got to be another way to do this. So that's that persistence part.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't, we do have, small business status with Palm Beach County. We're a small woman-owned business registered with the county, and that has gotten us a lot of opportunity here in the county.
That's awesome.
So I do recommend that for people if you have a small business or if you are a woman or minority-owned business, even though I know that's going out of fashion a little bit. I think, I don't feel like a lot of those barriers are still in place that have historically been there for women before me. So that's where I said, I'm either blessed or naive, or I just don't see them.
Or you're just a fighter and you fight through it.
I just keep powering through it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So we're almost out of time, but I do have at least one more question I want to sneak in. There are a lot of people that are watching this or listening to it, right? And they're going to be like, wow, I want to be like Amy and Scott, right? I have this cool little project. Like, I love to make this little thing and I'm really good at it. What kind of advice would you give that person that wants to create a business like you have?
My best advice is just to get started. I always say, and I get in trouble with this because I work with a couple of Virgos who don't take this next statement lightly. I do say done is better than perfect a lot of times. And that is the nature of just getting something started, though. I think if you try to make something into the perfect scenario, the perfect this, perfect that, it's not the right time, I don't have enough money, just get started. And once you start the ball rolling, you'll be surprised at the momentum you get from not only yourself, but from the community. It's definitely happened with us. I mean, we ended up with this giant building, not just because of my own, motivation. So just get started.
Just get started. All right. So where can we get more information? Where can we get more information on Oceana Coffee, Culinary Crossroads? Tell me about it.
So Culinary Crossroads is really it's the site. It's kind of like, that's how we brought this family together. So the business is located there, Oceana Coffee, and these are all at 1301 10th Street in Lake
tell
Park.
them, look right into the camera.
1301 10th Street.
Website, where can I get information?
Oceanacoffee.com has been the same for 16 years, right? The new businesses are floridacanning.com, and Culinary Studio is culinary-studio.com. So that's where you can learn more about the memberships and learn how you can get into the space to start making your food dreams, your food and cooking entrepreneurial dreams come true. And same with Florida Canning. Come and learn about, how we can put your beverages into a can.
Awesome. Well, Amy, I am so proud of you guys. You guys are crushing it. Crushing it. I'm so excited for Thursday. Thursday is the big ribbon cutting. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you supporting the chamber for so many years. You've been just an amazing community leader, and we're really, really proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, that's all we got. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. See you soon. Bye-bye.